Ever wondered why the crunch of snow underfoot in a documentary about Antarctica seems more dramatic than when you step out onto your porch in winter? There's a fascinating paradox at play here. Documentaries are supposed to be authentic, a slice of reality captured on film, yet the sounds we hear often have to be enhanced or even completely fabricated to create the desired effect. Enter the world of Foley artists. These are the unsung heroes of the film industry, breathing life into scenes by creating sounds from scratch. They use everyday objects in ingenious ways to mimic the sounds of nature, from rustling leaves to a bird taking flight. They enhance our viewing experience, making the visuals more immersive and believable. But this raises an intriguing question. If the sounds we hear aren't the real deal, can the documentary still claim to be authentic? So, the next time you watch a documentary, remember that what you're hearing may be more Hollywood than reality. The Art of Foley, named after Jack Foley, a pioneer in the field, is integral to the world of film and television. This unique craft is all about creating sounds that enhance the audience's sensory experience of a visual narrative. It's an art form that requires a delicate touch and a keen ear. Foley artists are akin to sonic magicians, conjuring up the soundscape of a film in a studio environment. They work their magic post-production, meticulously matching every footstep, door creak and rustle of clothing with the action on screen. It's an intricate dance of timing and precision, aimed at creating a seamless auditory experience that complements the visual storytelling. The tools of the Foley artist's trade are as varied as the sounds they produce. A simple prop, like a bunch of celery, can be manipulated to mimic the gruesome sound of bone breaking. A creaky old door in the studio could provide the perfect eerie sound for a horror film. The rustling of a heavy fabric might stand in for the sound of waves crashing on a distant shore. It's all about creativity, imagination, and a deep understanding of how different materials can produce a vast array of sounds. Everyday items become instruments in the hands of a Foley artist. A pair of gloves might simulate the flapping of bird wings. A balloon can be twisted and contorted to create the high-pitched squeak of a rodent. Even something as mundane as a chair can be used to create the sound of a boat rocking on the water. Despite their behind-the-scenes role, Foley artists are integral to creating the immersive experiences we enjoy on screen. Their work often goes unnoticed, yet without it, the world of film and television would lack depth and realism. So the next time you're engrossed in a movie, take a moment to appreciate the symphony of sounds that brings the story to life. It's all thanks to the artistry and skill of the Foley artists. Sound isn't just about what we hear, it's about how our brains interpret those sounds. Now, let's delve into the fascinating science behind how we perceive sound. At the heart of this science is a field known as psychoacoustics, which explores the subjective experience of sound. Our ears are not mere microphones picking up sound waves. They are part of a complex system that involves the brain, which interprets these waves as different sounds. When you hear a car zooming by, it's not just the sound of the engine your brain recognizes, it's the change in pitch, the Doppler effect, that tells you the car is moving. This is a psychoacoustic phenomenon. Similarly, when you're at a concert, your brain doesn't just hear the band playing, it also picks up on the echo of sound bouncing off the walls. It's this echo that tells you you're in a large room, even if your eyes are closed. Again, psychoacoustics at play. Now let's connect this with the art of Foley. Foley artists are the magicians of sound in film and television. They use everyday objects to create sounds that often feel more real than the real thing. A classic example is the use of coconuts to mimic the sound of horse hooves. But why does this work? Why does the sound of coconuts make us think of horses? This is where psychoacoustics comes in. Our brains are not perfect, they take shortcuts. When we hear the coconuts, our brains don't think, "That's a coconut." Instead, they match the sound to the most similar thing we've heard in our past experiences, like the clip-clop of horse hooves. The Foley artist has successfully tricked our brain into hearing something that isn't there. In a way, Foley artists are manipulating our perceptions to create a more convincing reality. They are not just artists, but scientists, mastering the science of sound to create immersive experiences. Sound, it turns out, is not just about what we hear, but how we hear it. And that, in essence, is the science behind sound. Given all this, is it right for documentaries, which purport to show us the truth, to use faked sounds? This is a question that has stirred quite a storm in the documentary world. The ethical debate surrounding the use of faked sounds in documentaries is a complex one, with compelling arguments on both sides. On one side of the fence, we have those who argue that the use of faked sounds is a necessary evil. They contend that these sounds are indispensable tools in the arsenal of a filmmaker, tools that are used to convey an emotional truth that transcends the literal accuracy of the sounds being portrayed. These proponents believe that sound, whether real or fabricated, is a powerful storytelling device. It can amplify the impact of a scene, drawing audiences in and making them feel as though they are living the experience, not just watching it. For them, the use of faked sounds is not so much about deception as it is about enhancing the emotional resonance of a story. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have those who feel that the use of faked sounds is a betrayal of the documentary's purpose. These critics argue that a documentary, by its very definition, is meant to be a factual representation of reality. When a documentary uses faked sounds, it blurs the line between fact and fiction, thus undermining its credibility. They believe that the authenticity of a documentary relies on the honesty of its presentation. To them, faked sounds are an affront to the integrity of the genre. So, where do we stand? Is it ethical to use faked sounds in documentaries? The answer isn't a simple yes or no. It's a question that provokes deep thought and reflection, a question that demands we consider the balance between storytelling and truth-telling. It's a complex issue and one that sparks much debate in the world of film. So why do documentaries have to use fake sounds? This question, which led us on this explorative journey, has found its answers in the paradox of authenticity, the art of Foley, the science of sound perception, and the ongoing ethical debate. Let's take a moment to revisit our journey. We delved into the paradox of authenticity, understanding that while documentaries strive to present the truth, the genuine sounds of the environments they capture are often unattainable. The rustling leaves, the roaring waves, the echoing footsteps. All these sounds we associate with the visuals are often recreated in a studio, far from the scene being depicted. Then we ventured into the world of Foley artists, those unsung heroes who masterfully recreate these sounds. Using everyday objects, they bring to life the auditory backdrop that enhances our viewing experience. They fill the silence with the familiar, creating a world that sounds as real as it looks. Next, we dived into the science of sound perception. We learned about how our brains process sounds, how certain noises trigger emotional responses, and how filmmakers use this knowledge to manipulate our reactions. Sound is not just an auditory experience, but an emotional journey that guides our perception of the story. Lastly, we touched upon the ethical debate surrounding the use of artificial sounds in documentaries. Is it a necessary evil, a tool used to enhance the viewer's experience? Or is it a betrayal of trust, a manipulation that strays from the authenticity documentaries are known for? This debate is ongoing with valid arguments from both sides. Whether it's a matter of necessity or a betrayal of trust, one thing is clear. The sounds you hear in a documentary are often not what they seem. So the next time you're immersed in a documentary, take a moment to appreciate the unseen work of the Foley artists. And remember, not everything you hear is as it appears to be. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content.